family pressure, stigma, not having the resources to, be able to afford it.
We didn't know that we'd get so close and start a business together. We knew that we'd be like friends.
One of our reels went super viral. It got like 3 million views.
Right now, the problem is just like to make sure that everyone filling out the form has a therapist to get connected to.
How do we grow? What next? From college, they moved to the real world, which is like a slap on the face.
We're going to create an app where it's like a one-stop solution. You have meditations, you have workouts, you have therapists you have access to.
I thought I was going to be nobody and all of that. I was so proud when I said, oh yeah, I'm a mental health startup. And
hello everyone, welcome to the Breaking Uneven podcast. We love to talk shop, uncover the beauty of failures and play a few games. Today we have with us Preet Bhatti and Aayushi Shah, the founders of Adapt. How are you guys doing?
Good, how are you guys doing?
Good.
No one's ever asked us that.
Yeah. And that makes sense in like the world they are part of.
Yeah.
But yeah, so both of you completed your bachelor's in psychology at Flame University. And over the years, collectively, you have experiences in social media and psychology across multiple internships. But while y'all were at university itself, you guys started Mind, which is now Adapt. And have we got the story right so far?
Yes, you have.
Yes.
Okay, so since Adapt is what has brought y'all guys here, we have a quick little game for y'all.
So this game is called the Twitter Pitch Challenge. The way we'll do it is we'll start with one of you. Y'all can elect who goes first. And don't worry, we'll keep it fair for the future games. The other person will go first.
Okay.
So Twitter is known for its 280 character limit on every tweet, which sometimes makes it a little difficult to convey your thoughts. It takes 20 seconds to speak to 80 characters. And that's the challenge that we transfer to you, which is explain to us Adapt in 20 seconds. But you also need to use one emoji and one hashtag in your tweet.
Got it.
Got it? Cool. So who do you elect to go first?
I don't mind.
Go.
Okay, so it's 20 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So we'll just show you a bit of a timer. So 3, 2, 1, go.
So Adapt Wellness Brain Emoji is a mental health platform that makes mental health care accessible to everyone. And hashtag mental adapt with us. Sorry. I was 15 seconds.
Yeah.
That was solid. Yeah. Well done.
Nice, yeah.
That's a little tougher for you.
Okay, yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
Adapt is a student-friendly mental health platform that connects therapists to users, and we have a platform that tackles all sort of concerns mental health, and we help adapt to your circumstances and situations in life. Emoji heart.
Okay, yeah. It was like 30 seconds, yeah. Interesting like descriptions on like both your side, and I think you really focus on the student-friendly part of it. So yeah, we'll delve into that, but like I guess to get started, both of y'all met at Flame, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So what was like that experience of y'all like I guess becoming friends?
So we knew each other from before because we both are from Bombay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and we knew that we were going to Flame. But we didn't know that we'd get so close and start a business together. We knew that we'd be like friends in college. But I think it was very fun because we went from just, knowing each other via mutuals to being in the same psych classes, waking up. We had classes every morning at 8 a.m. So we really struggled because in uni you don't sleep before like 2, 3. So we really struggled making it to class, and that's where our friendship started, to becoming roommates,
Oh, nice.
to becoming founders during COVID,
and
then becoming roommates when we went back.
Oh my God. So y'all were friends, y'all lived together, and y'all had a business together.
Yeah.
Damn, okay.
And all with our third founder, Varnika.
Yeah.
So we would all go 8 a.m. classes, psych classes early in the morning. We come back, sleep, and then start the rest of our day. And it was very organic. I feel like we used to talk so much psych. And our whole day used to just be, this assignment, that assignment, this psych theory, that theory. And that's how it just, we were really passionate about the space.
Yeah.
Nice. So how did that conversation of like being interested in it and like talking about psychology every day lead you to like starting your business together? Was it like a hangout one evening where like three of y'all just spoke and it happened, or was it like?
So it actually happened during COVID because at the time we were all working independently. Like she was working with with an organization, I was working with a therapist. Vanika was having like some internships in marketing. So we just like we were like, okay, we're so passionate about this and we have the right kind of information. And it was COVID at the time where a lot of our friends were struggling to get the help that they wanted, and lockdown had happened. So we were like, okay, what about just getting immediate relief for our friends and family? Like let's just connect them to people because no one knows where to go, and let's keep it affordable. Let's do it non-profit. Like let's just do it out of goodwill. And then eventually that like we kept building on that and finally converted it to a business model because our network grew also from 3 to almost now 45 professionals. So at the time we just had a lot of tweaks, but it started from a non-profit goodwill sort of an intention, and then now it is
yeah. And I think in COVID the three of us we had online classes, so we used to be so drained out and we were like, this is not fun, so let's do something fun, because we were bored. Like we were like, what do we do? And we were like, okay, like we talked to our friends, and I was working at a mental health company in Bombay itself, and I was hearing about all of these different cases through the internship. And Preet was also doing that similarly, so we would have a lot of cases to talk about, hey, this happened. And we were like, let's talk to some of the psychologists that we knew and we were working with, and let's talk to them about how we can make therapy accessible to our friends, and if they were willing to provide it at an affordable price. Because the minute COVID hit and everyone was talking mental health, therapists' prices increased because there was so much demand for it, right? And the people who genuinely said really needed that help, they had nowhere to go, because family pressure, stigma, not having the resources to be able to afford it. So we just wanted to help in a way, and we were like, we won't charge anything for us, we'll just spend a few hours every day working on this and help people. But it was our psychologists, actually, the three of them who we onboarded first, who told us that this is eventually going to be your baby, so you all have to take something or we won't be a part of your organization. So we were like, okay, let's take 50 rupees. Let's start with something. And that's how we just started. I think our first price point was 550 rupees for everyone during COVID for 1 hour sessions.
So I actually want to get into that a little more because Janvi and I had a lockdown business together with three other founders, and we, again, pro bono consultancy, right? So what we were studying, we wanted to solve people like problems for people in that same industry, much like
literally so
it's
like parallel.
The stories run in parallel like mad.
Wow.
And we were 5 of us, and by the time 6 months down the line, 7 months down the line, some of us were in jobs, some of us were still following the entrepreneurial pathway, and what that led to was a very different vision for monetization, because obviously fully pro bono is not sustainable, as you all know. So the 5 of us all had different directions in how we wanted to monetize the company, which after another 2-3 months of trying, we got to a point where we were like, okay, we did a good job during lockdown, let's give this a happy closure point, and we kind of stopped this thing itself, right? We ended the story there. So in the case for the 3 of you, right, it's kind of similar, right? Like y'all might have had different ideas about monetizing it, etc., etc. So how did y'all go from pro bono to monetization? And if there were conflicts, are there still conflicts on how to monetize, what price points, etc.? How do you manage that?
That's a really great question. I think no one's ever asked us the transition. I think one thing we'll give to the 3 of us is we're very transparent when we're talking, and the way we when we have to make a decision, there's I think over the years now we've just set this little system where each of us will go one by one and note down our thoughts. Just be like, okay, I think this would work. Preet will be like, this would work. Varnika will be like, this would work. And I don't know if it's a coincidence, I don't know if we think alike, but there's always a little trail overlap of something. And so we're really good at, I think, identifying and picking out those that little
Yeah.
line, and then we just build on that.
Yeah. And I think, a lot of the times it is diversity in founders. That's like a lot of, especially investors look for that diversity. But I think our complementary skills have been our strong point, because while I wouldn't say there's been no conflict, there has been conflict. And again, I think similar thoughts and similar values has helped us overcome that very smoothly. But yeah, there's always been alignment. Like a lot of the times, we say the same things, we have the same thought. So in that sense, it's been like a relatively smoother journey, I would say, to make those decisions.
And if I can pick up on one thing that you said here, which was that you said that three of us note down what would work, right?
Yeah.
Now, you're not noting down what won't work, you're noting down what would work, which is a
Yeah.
positive thing.
Yeah.
When I was working in consulting, they told us that, like, whenever, as analysts, whenever you all are discussing ideas, if someone brings up an idea, never start your comment or your suggestion on that idea with a no. No, it won't work because this. Always flip it to say, but what if this happens?
Yeah.
Right. So, and that makes a very big difference, because then the other person is not feeling rejection, they're feeling a challenge, which is always, like, for people that accept challenge, it's healthier.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, I feel like that's kind of the same situation here, which is like you're always positively challenging each other.
Yeah. And I think also one thing that we need to consider is that we actually started off as best friends. So there's always that little bit of, like, empathy that just extends as a friend also. Balancing that out, of course, is something we've learned over time.
Yeah.
But it 100% helps to actually understand the other person and not, like, enter like a negative zone or like space with them.
And it's so funny that you mentioned, because I was gonna say that we have two WhatsApp groups. One is called Adapt, where we talk all adapt, and there's one called Sweet But Psycho, which is our personal group. And every time we feel like we're not talking adapt, there's a sudden switch to that group. And so in the middle of, like, we'll be having two separate conversations on these two different groups at the same time, because one is like personal and one is related to adapt. And I feel like it only happened over time, and there's like adjustment, because we know each other as best friends, but now we also know each other as working professionals, as like partners. So it was very different, but it's been great, honestly.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. I mean, again, similar, like, even we have a group which is like just breaking uneven, and it's just like talking about the podcast, even though it's just two of us, like we don't speak about it on our personal chat, because it's like, I guess, to differentiate and also draw that line, being like, okay.
But we haven't spoken on our personal chat for like a year now.
That's because we only talk about work like all the time. It's interesting, like, also, in a way, it's also organization. Like, all the work stuff can be found under this one umbrella. But like, now you all mentioned that the intention behind it when you all started during COVID was just to help others and like start there. Was there ever like a light bulb moment, or not even a light bulb, just a moment in time where you're like, okay, fine, this is not just a temporary situation, but something that we are gonna take long term? And like, similar to our thing, where it was like after a point when everyone had graduated and like COVID was coming to an end, it was like, okay, what's next with life? Did y'all ever question whether it's not adapt or mind at the time, but more like, I want to maybe work with a therapist, or I might want to do something else, get some other work experience, and then come and start something? Any conversation around that?
So for a year, because we were also in college, we had college to think about as well as mind at that time. So we were like just working on it. Everything was super organic, like we would, till this date, we've not done, say, any sort of like marketing or outreach to get new clients, right? It's all been social media and like word of mouth. So for that 1 year, we didn't really pay attention to, like, we're going with the flow. But 1 year into it, we sort of like had a breakout on Instagram itself, where one of our reels went super viral. It got like 3 million views and like multiple comments. And that's when when we started like blowing up, three of us were so confused. We were like, oh my God, what is happening? Because At that point, we had also launched a website. We were just launching a website because we could see that there were more people coming on board. And suddenly we had like this Google form because everything was manual at that time. So on the Google form, from like say 35, 40 responses, it was like 100 and then like 200. And like our clientele just boosted by more than 200%.
Yeah.
So we were like, I think that was the light bulb moment of like, okay, we're actually serving a purpose here. People see the value and the worth of what we're doing. And it was peak time, for a business or a startup like this to grow. And so I think our first instance was, how do we grow? What next? Never about like, this is not working out, or like, it was overwhelming, sure, but it wasn't like, okay, this is too much for us, let's leave it.
Yeah.
It was more like, okay, what do we do next?
Yeah, I think it was very in the moment because we weren't really prepared. You know how a lot of the times you like think about your risks and your opportunities, and at the time it just like came at us, and we just had to deal with it hands on. We didn't think too much about it. We were just like, okay, one problem at a time. We need right now. The problem is just like to make sure that everyone filling out the form has a therapist to get connected to, or we just had to make it more seamless. And like also at the time we were a very small team. We were like 3 of us. We had 2 interns, that's it, and there were like 700 people who were on our form, and we were like, how do we do this? But like I think we really like took those days. We streamlined our website, we got everything running, and like what had to launch in maybe October launched in September, and we were like, okay, let's really do this quickly. So I think it was just about improv at the time.
Yeah, and we had to build our team because the 3 of us used to, manage the clients one-on-one, whether it was through WhatsApp or Instagram. Like we would divide the clients. Like I remember having a list of Ayushi, Varnika, Preet, and all our clients' names, and be like, okay, this one's not been responded to. Who is handling them? Okay, go back. And we would do that till we reached about like, I think like 200, 250 clients. And then we were like, okay, we have to do a lot of business stuff also. So that's when we got 2 client managers. And we also sort of noticed that a lot of people thought that because the founders are managing the clients, I feel like they didn't approach us because say we were friends or mutuals, and they didn't want us to directly know or talk to us directly to be connected. So I think it was a win-win because we had client managers. The 3 of us would overlook it. We would just be like, okay, these many sessions are taking place. Is any client not been responded to? Any, feedback? So that became our role eventually with the client space.
Yeah. It's so interesting because like literally everything that you're saying is what we've done, just for a different thing.
A follow-up sheet and all of that.
Like we had the same thing, an Excel sheet where we divided it between us, which we then also moved where we had like client managers, so that like project managers actually for us, so they then like communicated with the clients rather than us. So like
amazing.
It was literally the same thing. Other than that, you are a business and we aren't. But yeah, now talking more about like the business part of things, do y'all see yourselves having any like competition, or do y'all think of that actively in the way y'all are seeing Adapt and how y'all are growing Adapt?
Right. I feel like 100% there has been a lot of competition, at least over the last 3 years when we started. A lot of the companies that started at the same time, some of them are booming right now. They're funded, they're doing great. Some of them are at the same level, some of them not, I don't think, of course, we keep our competitors, we learn from our competitors, we constantly are checking what they're doing. We've spoken to all of them. We've also collaborated with majority of them.
To all of them.
Yeah, we've collaborated with almost like a lot of them. We don't focus on their strategy. We don't focus on what they're doing. In fact, from our collaborative calls or any specific maybe like thing that we've done together, what we've realized is that we work great in collaboration with each other. We're not going to replace each other. Like even that little bit of difference, like, okay, your target audience is like 5 years above mine, like that is also like a differentiating point. But at the end of the day, yeah, we don't, like, of course we are up to date with what's happening and what is the next thing that they're doing, etc., but we don't ever move our strategy according to theirs. We kind of focus on our thing, and that's worked really well for us. So
yeah, it really has actually, because when we were also talking to them, like what we would think about is, oh, we're all doing the same thing, okay? And the same thing meaning offering therapy. But what goes behind it, like the execution process of it, when we were trying to understand what they were doing, how we can do better, scale, it was so different. Like every process was so different.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, maybe this is why we are unique. And this is why they are unique in their own way.
Yeah.
Our ultimate goal is the same, is to offer. But it was so, the processes were so different. And that was like a little bit of an awakening moment for us. We were like, oh, we do the same thing, but we also don't.
yeah.
So
That's yeah. I mean, I get what you mean. There is enough space for there to be multiple
Yeah,
companies, and
yeah,
and to be honest, like from an outsider's perspective, in such a space, you should hope that there is, right? Like you would
Exactly.
want
Exactly.
you want there to be enough supply rather than to be excess demand.
Yes.
yes.
And that's not going to be the case for a couple years to
There's
come.
no
Yeah.
But
place
like
right now.
the more the merrier in this
Exactly,
case
yeah.
scenario.
And 100%. And the way you also said that the target audience, like even that 5-year difference makes such a massive
Yeah,
difference.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you are focusing more on whether it's like children or then like teenagers or students and then like adults and like elderly
Yeah.
people and things like that, like the way you approach each one of them is so different.
So
and then
different, yeah.
it's not essentially competition at that point because of
Yeah.
how differently you approach each one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and even we worked with multiple like age groups. We
Yeah.
went to corporates, we saw the corporate field. We work with universities, so we see the student population. And that's when, like for the three of us, because we were students and when we were in college, we understood the concerns that people
Yeah.
would face and what the right way to approach them would eventually be. And that's why we decided, like, let's focus on the student community. Let's focus on the 18 to 30 bracket because there's so much to do. They're all in their like peak transitional period of
Yeah.
life where they're moving from like high school to college, and maybe they're moving away from home and they are in a completely different environment. Then there's like the relationships that come in, the academic pressure, the peer pressure. There's so much that goes on. And then from college they move to the real world, which is like a slap on the face because like how do you transition like that,
Yeah.
right? So we really observed those concerns and we were like, okay, this is what happens when you're at 18 mainly, this is what happens when you're 21, and this is what happens when you're 23.
Yeah.
So
And you all have just lived through that period,
Exactly.
especially through COVID,
Exactly.
which is probably the worst time for students,
Yeah,
like
it was
in historically, right?
yeah,
Like
horrible.
yeah.
And
A lot
as bad as it can get.
as
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
a lot of people would like give us suggestions. They're like, why don't you enter a corporate world? Why don't you do what this company is doing? Why don't you like take their approach? And we were like, we know our audience, we've been the audience. We know that this is like the most susceptible but most like open to change audience that we're working with, and we were happy to do that.
Not become a corporate performance coach, sell out.
Yeah, and we're happy to do, one-off workshops
Yeah,
with
yeah,
corporates,
which we do.
which we anyways do. So, but we don't necessarily focus on that corporate
Yeah.
population. It's more the universities, colleges, students. Yeah.
This age is also a roller coaster, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like figuring out what you want to do next, or
Yeah.
like what is in store for you, or like just navigating all of that's not the
Yeah, and
easiest.
it's so easy for people to just get lost in this rat race.
Yeah.
And like they don't know how to like navigate, situations.
But so if there's three of you, right? How do you divide responsibility in terms of like the different areas of a business,
Yeah.
but also in terms of like do you all have a final call kind of thing?
Right.
But yeah, how do you split the
Right.
work and who's responsible for what?
So early on, we three were doing everything.
Yeah.
There were no boundaries that were established and roles, etc. Then a year in, we were like, okay, you know what, this is not sustainable. We need to really like take on things that we're good at and like focus on that. Initially, when we started with that thought, we were like, okay, maybe a few months we'll keep switching. Like, you know, this month you do this, like 3-4 months later we'll switch, someone do this. That did not end up happening because you get like really well informed in what you're, you know, in your space and what you're working on. So Varnika mainly handles everything marketing. Ayushi will tell you what she handles. I handle like the recruitment part and the business strategy part.
And I do the collaborations. So what the universities we work with or corporates, the collaborations for that and the finance.
Okay, so biz dev and finance, basically.
Business and finance. Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's a good split. Now, I have like multiple questions. Definitely can't ask Varnika any questions, but so Ayushi, you did a psychology degree, right? So the world of finance, like biz dev is something because you're so close to your product, you know how to do it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But finance, right? How did you pick it up? How do you manage it?
Biggest challenge. Honestly, I feel like when we were splitting roles, the thing is I love Excel. Like I love organization on Excel. So and our finance and like it was mainly we were like we'll use Excel for it. So I was like, okay, I don't mind exploring and like working it out and client details and then like what when they've taken the session, what is the amount, and then just putting formulas in, right? So I think I really enjoyed that when it was on Excel.
Yeah.
But then when it got into the filing and the taxes and the TDS
and you realize that Excel is out of the window, it's Tally.
It's out. Like there, and now there's like I'm learning things about CA related stuff, and I'm learning like TDS, and I'm learning when is someone applicable for TDS cuts over here, and then there's monthly filing that happens, and there was so much that I learned in the finance space. I was horrible at math in school. So for me to take on that role, and if I tell people that I manage the finance over here and the accounts, and they're like, what? Excuse me. And I'm like, there's so much learning, and like numbers is fun to work with, but when I am without the alphabets is when I'm good with it.
Fair enough.
But yeah,
that's true.
Even for me, like one of the toughest things was to kind of just start to remember all the all the rules of TDS, and because sometimes even if you have a CA, even if you have an accountant, there are conversations you're having on the go where you can't just always be like, oh, let me check and get back. Like you want to be able to say certain things like in the moment.
And people have so many abbreviations for everything. Like how are you sitting and Googling that?
No, so the first
I'll give you a quick trick for that. Like read all the abbreviations and start using them yourself, because then people will have to check and come back to you. So you come across as the more.
So in the beginning when we were working with our first CA, I told him, I was like, look, I am voluntarily taking on this job of finance. Okay, I don't know anything, so you have to be patient with me. And like if you need me to check anything, like this was like I don't know who to go to. I will come to you. So like I am fully putting my trust in you, and which is why when we started, we went to Varnika's family CA. So it was very
that's
trusted. And now we're with Preet's family CA. So like that's also great right now, because I'm like, it's not that big of a headache where I'm like, I have so much to do, but I still have to do the monthly, like how much goes to the psychologist, what is the total, what is the TDS cut for them, like all of that stuff is like routine for me.
So next year I will be with your family. So Preet, question for you, right? Since coming into the business, I have at least hired for about 6 or 7 roles, right, in the last 2 years. It is one of the things I absolutely despise. Like I love growing the team, but I hate the process of recruitment. I find it so difficult, and like especially if you have like very high standards, which you all would have to given the nature of the business you're in. What has been your experience? And let's go specific. The first 2 client managers that you got on board, right? That had to have been the toughest hires because you're suddenly handing over 200 of your babies to them. How did you go about it?
So at the time, we all were sort of, looking for the right person. we had people, we put out like an application on LinkedIn, we put out like, word of mouth, a lot of we were in college, so it was not difficult finding interns.
Instagram.
Yeah. So we just would put out a story, would put out a LinkedIn post, and we'd get like a bunch of applications, would have multiple calls with them, like 1 or 2 to 3 calls minimum to figure out if they're good for the job. And initially, to be very honest, the first 2 hires of the client managers that we had, they were our psychology interns. They were just like, we had like a master's internship that we were doing and an undergrad internship that we were doing. So they were a part of like, just like talking to psychologists, creating social media content, all of that. And then when this like rise came, we were like, okay, listen, guys, we have another role for you all. And they were really good at what they were doing. So we were like, okay, maybe like, for temporary, they can come in and help us with this role. And they did a fantastic job at that. One of them stayed on very long for that role. She stayed on for almost 1.5 years.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was very easy to kind of gauge what it is that we want, what we're looking for. And that kind of set the tone for like the client managing,
Yeah.
And one of them is still with us.
Yeah, one of them is still
Oh,
with
nice.
us now.
So she's gonna complete, I think, 2.5 years out of 3
Yeah.
years with us now. 2 years, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the best way is also just to get people from the ground up and like build them with you, because they know how your company runs
Journey,
and like what they like. I guess before they were more on the internal part of things, and now they know how that runs, so they can help you with the external client.
It's also very risky.
It is.
It is
but
very
Risky because you can build someone up and then they like leave you.
Yeah,
And
no,
then
it's
they
very
build something
risky,
else.
but yeah, I feel like with at least one, the managers who's with us, who's been with us for like say 2 years now, she knows the process so in and out, okay, which is also scary, because then sometimes like, there are certain like say couples therapy rates or family therapy rates of ours, which, get lost in chat, something that we've discussed, one day, and like we've set it, but then like I have to go back to her sometimes and be like, hey, what were the rates again? Like someone is inquiring, because like she's so hands-on now, and we are like so involved in like the outreach or like
You're
finance
like
and the
detached
other
or
things.
something.
Yeah, where we have to ask her, and like, but it's so great that we could put our trust in people like that who've stuck for so long, and they really do like a great job every day.
She's pretty much your 4th co-founder.
Dude, she's
she's very, very well aware and very well.
And I think, like you said, like trust is important.
Very important.
Especially in this like situation, and also like when you're trying to grow something of your own, like you need people that you can trust around you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like it's difficult in that situation when like they can either leave and start. Like we've had founders that have come, and I mean, it wasn't necessarily negative, but they've had their employees start a competitor and like things like that. So I mean, in that industry, I guess it worked, but like it depends place to place, people to people, and things like that. But yeah, like overall, you're a health tech startup, and you recently launched an app as well. So how is that process going from like a website then moving to an app? Actually, no, like from a Google Forms to then a website and then like an app.
Yeah.
So again, the app was we were very, very conflicted, because it was like, should we go ahead with an app? Should we just go ahead with making like a more robust website? Because a lot of the times, especially Apple users just don't have storage, and they keep deleting apps all the time. So we're like, like we don't want to be one of the apps that just get like discarded when there's no storage on your phone. But other than that, we realized that it all actually came down to what the app is going to do. Other than just being a booking platform, we wanted it to be like your go-to wellness or like your feel-good sort of an app, where it's not just like booking a therapy session with a professional, but also if you want to feel good in the moment and you have about 10 minutes, you do a meditation, you do a movement. We wanted to create that resource pool for the people. So that's why we decided, and we also did a little bit of a poll to understand what are the preferences that people have, and they decided that we want an app. So we're like, okay, we're gonna create an app where it's like a one-stop solution. You have meditations, you have workouts, you have therapists you have access to. So that's why we focused on creating that. But of course, the journey wasn't easy. And this is where the recruitment part, I think, was really tough for me and very boring for me also, but very fun because it was boring to be able to like constantly take interviews, and sometimes, very early on in the call, the candidate is not a fit.
Yeah.
But you still have to take that interview, and you have to have I took almost like 40 calls for hiring the right tech people. And the thing is, I did not know anything about tech when I started hiring people. And after a few failures, we realized that, okay, like I need to kind of study what I'm hiring for, because I would like hire people, or we talk to agencies, which were very expensive for us. But I'd hire people, and on their resume, they seem to know a lot. But when it comes to actually coding something out and like that is completely different. It's a very, very different ballgame. So
we had one experience like that. Like we hired someone for the initial role to build the app, but it just didn't work out in terms of timelines and pace and just quality of work. And around that time, in fact, so in 2022, when we were reaching out to corporates for corporate workshops, we reached out to this one particular company, and the VC wrote back saying that, we are not doing any sort of workshops, but I also mentor startups. So why don't we meet? So I was like, cool, we're going to be in Bangalore. Varnika's from Bangalore. He also stays in Bangalore. So we went to Bangalore. We already had a trip planned. Yeah, so we met him. And the first conversation itself with him, like he just knew how to pick the pace up of like our work, because we were like just entering the tech space. We were just entering like the app space, the ideation of it. And every day of that trip, we have spent 2 to 3 hours with him. He has helped us so much with just guidance and like structuring of the app. He also comes with somewhat of like a tech background, right? So there was so much learning from him in terms of back end, front end, like what coding to be done. He gave, he prepared like an assignment for us that we could give the, people as a part of their assignment, as a part of their, hiring, recruitment. And I think there was so much learning from there, like straight from small details, right? Like, what does the person first want to see when they open the app? Where would the buttons be? What makes most sense when a person is clicking this button versus if they're using their like thumb versus their pointy finger for something, right? Like all of those details were like taken care of, because of him. And it was a 1 year long process straight from.
Yeah, it was. We actually wanted to launch the app November 2022. We ended up launching it August 2023.
Wow.
We took our time because then we decided, okay, let's put out all of the resources now. So we would go to Bangalore and like have like studio time of 2 hours, have people come in to do voiceovers for the meditations. And we would curate the meditations with the psychologists first. Then they would record it. Similarly with the videos, right? We had to like look for yoga practitioners, set up like studio space, and then edit the videos, then put them up on the app. And it was a long process, but I feel like there was so much learning. Like as a startup founder, like we can say that if I had to hire someone, like I'd know how to hire. If Preet had to go reach out and, crack a college deal, she'd be able to do that. Like Varnika would be able to do like, say, finance. Like since we all did so much of the things together when we started, and then we divided roles and responsibilities, and tech is something we all three worked on. Like the UI, UX, the product design, the software coding, all of those things, updates. We all worked on tech together. So now we all have, a feel of every little thing within the space. And I think that's the most important thing as a startup founder. You should be able to know.
Agreed. Like I think like even knowing what the other person's doing, even if you never have to do it, but like just having the knowledge, you also sympathize with the way they are working, right? Like you get a better understanding of what they are actually doing.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
if you're, for example, there's a day where you're just frustrated about like either hiring someone or the finance, you're just not getting it.
Yeah.
Like if you share it with the other two, at least like they understand
Yeah,
where you're
yeah,
coming from.
yeah.
Whereas like just being like, okay, you're just complaining for the heck of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember I was
100%.
traveling and I had to make payments, but I usually, for some payments, it's Google Pay, for some, it's bank, right? So I couldn't make any of those Google Pay payments because I was abroad.
Yeah.
So I had to tell Varnika and Preet that, hey, you guys have to like log into NEFT and then add the beneficiary and then make the payment. And like I had to put down the step-by-step
Yeah.
process. And like now if I tell Preet, I was like, hey, listen, I can't make this payment right now. Can you please do it? She'll know
Yeah.
like what is her own customer ID, her password, how to like go to that place. And like it just makes sense when everyone knows everyone's
Yeah.
roles, but
Yeah.
also has their independent niche work.
Clarification,
Yeah, because then it still runs without
It still
every
Yeah.
person hands-on
Interference,
24/7. Speaking about like the whole part of whether you have to use your thumb and finger on the app and all of that, did like the psychology that you all learned, did you all implement any of that in that sense, like trying to get the best interface for your
Colors.
Yeah. So I think we
colors and all.
yeah, colors was something I think we just knew we were going to go pastel because it's a very soothing vibe.
Yeah.
But that we had an amazing UI UX designer that we hired, and honestly,
She was amazing.
she
Yeah,
was
because
great.
but like pure UI UX wise, you like the rules of UI UX would actually steer you away from
Yeah.
pastel colors. So
Yeah.
you would need someone really good to be able to pull it
Yeah,
off.
and she did a fantastic job because like you said, you need like certain pops of colors. You need like a bright
You
orange.
need contrast for accessibility
and we
stuff
were
like
like,
that.
no, like we just don't want that. Like it's fine. You figure out a way to do it. She did an amazing job.
She just knew like what like we would. So we used to call these sessions of ours whiteboard sessions, where we would draw out each screen. We would draw out each like persona, user. Like we had user A, user B, user C. Like, what if user A is coming onto the app for therapy and not the resources? What if someone's coming for resources, not therapy? What if someone's coming for both? What if someone's just coming to like have a look?
Yeah.
And not do anything, right? So we had to like take into consideration all these personas and along with, sit with the UI UX designer and be like, okay, these are the colors, these are the type of rounded templates we would like to use with this picture, this font, small buttons like the play button or the fast forward button, like where do we want it like placed, or the icon. Like it was, and she is so great at her work, which made it possible to just bring it, to life.
Yeah.
Awesome. So coming back to the idea of like making payments, how you're talking about, each other doing the payments. A lot of tech startups, especially in today's world, burn through money, right? Marketing, etc. I know that's not the case for y'all. Y'all are doing it very, very organically. But even then, has there been a situation where your business was broke, and what did you do?
I think, of course, we've had certain months where it's been really tight, but so far we've never had an expense more than our revenue. So every month, like our expense has never crossed our revenue. We are completely bootstrapped. We are also profitable. We don't burn a lot of money every month. Of course, there's been periods of stagnancy owing to that because we're not able to get more clientele, but that's when we like rewire strategy. We change things up a little bit in terms of how we approach social media clients, etc. But that's not a stage we've had to face.
I'm very conjuice, guys.
She doesn't pay us also sometimes.
I'll be like, I'll make all the other payments and then I'll see how much we can take.
As founders, you can't take salaries for the starting couple, years.
Yeah.
But we like to take what we call a token of appreciation.
To ourselves, pat on our back for the month.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, I think so. Like, even like, and to be honest, that problem will never stop, right? Like, for example, the business that I work in is 20 years old, and even then, there are some months where I'm like, okay, you know what, hold the salaries of these 3 people and pay everyone else.
Yeah.
And even if there is money, right, because you always want to keep some, pay everyone else, and then take the rest. Like the founders, like in our case, the directors can wait.
Yeah.
It's not
I can't see the bank balance below a certain limit.
Okay,
Like it,
Yeah.
it gives me stress. I'm like, wait, they're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
We're like, this can't be happening.
Yeah.
Like your safety
Yeah.
net needs to be
My
there.
like there's like a minimum
But
amount
you know,
that has
if
to be.
like once you've seen the worst, like for example, I'll take the example of my father, who has obviously seen the worst many times in his life, right?
Yeah.
And the kind of days that he has seen are way worse than anything I see, because he saw it while building it up.
Building.
I'm seeing it now just by trying to run it.
Yeah.
So there have been so many times when I'm like absolutely freaking out, and I'm like running like, I don't know, 3 different models on Excel to figure out how best to manage things. I'm trying to see, okay, hey, like, you can push TDS forward by paying it by card, GST you can't pay by card, this, that, blah,
Yeah.
like a bunch of different things. And he's just like, what's wrong with you? Pay it. Money will come in, don't worry. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah, it's true.
It's very, it's like it takes a lot to get used to
Yeah.
just being okay with your cash going up and down
Yeah.
so much.
100%.
It's like we'll make like say like 10 payments in one day, and then the next day we'll get like a college payment, and we're like,
Yeah.
And so, in the case of like colleges versus corporates, like is your outreach and biz dev to corporates a way for you to kind of make more margin so that you can reinvest that money into
100%.
the
Margins are
colleges?
higher. Cash flow. It's our mode of cash flow.
Yeah.
We have retainers with these universities, yearly retainers. So
That's
that works
good.
out-
That's very good
yeah.
for the cash flow. Yeah.
Yeah, that works out really well.
And I think like in general, with I'm not like, I know with universities, of course, they have a development budget, but even with corporates, the HR budget in India has only been tapped into from the lens of like Zoho and stuff, right? Like which is management, HR management softwares. I don't think it has been tapped into as much from an L&D budget.
yeah, well,
It has. I think off lately they have
More
been
now.
tapping it.
Like
a
more,
lot
I'm saying
more.
like now corporates are allocating a lot more for learning and development
100%,
than ever
100%.
before.
Yeah, they
yeah,
have.
yeah.
It's very saturated because I
The
don't think
market.
it's a. I don't think it's per se the need of the hour for them. It's more like a
CSR thing. It's like even if we get one
For
workshop,
some.
yeah, for some it's like let's just do one workshop because mental health day is coming, just for the sake of just doing something so they can put it on their socials.
That's very interesting, because for us, it's like what we have seen in the space is very different. Like, so what my sister and I are conceptualizing a workshop which is meant to kind of stimulate idea creation in the employees, and we do that through doing a simulation with them. So it's like it's entirely her conceptualization. I'm just trying to like provide the corporate lens because we work with a lot of corporates. So a couple of those people that we've spoken to like are so excited about it, and the HR teams themselves are telling us that like, hey, like we've been wanting to find something like this, but the only thing we know is like online courses, which like the company only says don't do online courses.
Yeah.
And other than that, we've got like performance coaching, which we don't want either. Like
Exactly.
those are already existent in our pipeline.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where the difference in perspective is.
Yeah,
from.
I think that does come more under L&D also. It's just upskilling the employees or in general. Ours are more wellness focused. So ours is, and of course, like those are also very important. So it's like day-to-day stress and work-life balance, or like, just like a meditation session to be able to go back to work the next day fully recharged. Those aren't as prioritized, I would say.
So in that case, like, do you all feel the responsibility to kind of talk about that? Like, I know, right? Like corporates to a certain extent do all this just because they have to.
Yeah.
So like, even if they give any kind of like, I know at Deloitte we had a well-being 1 hour break, and I'm certain that every director in the company hated that because they're like, all our like analysts are away for an hour. Why? They should be working. Like, you know what I mean, right? So they just do it for the sake of doing it. But do you feel like as Adapt, you all need to create that conversation to like let companies know that hey, this is needed. It is not just for the sake of it. Or do you not consider that your problem to solve?
The thing is, when we talk to the people we talk to are the HR people.
Yeah.
Right. And when we are trying to explain something to them, they already have like a set protocol, like only this will take place. So if we have to like say brainstorm ideas with them, there's no space for that, honestly, because they're like, okay, they come with their requirements. They come with like saying that we want to work on like performance and motivation
Yeah.
for our employees, and we want like a training or a workshop on that. And then I'd say if we ask them things like, okay, but have you all done workshops on like stress management, or like, just something that's a little more basic and elementary than going directly into like performance and motivation. Like some baseline things. But their requirements are so strong where after a point it's like, okay, let's deliver. Let's not talk about it. But with universities, we really put our points there in terms of like, this is a need. Like it's not something we're doing for fun. Like it's a need now.
Yeah. And also I think we understand that space better. So we focus more on that.
Yeah, actually, like in my previous job, we did a lot of like workshops around this, but like my company was a consultancy. So we got to, I think they look at you as a vendor versus
They do.
because we were on the other side where we would like discuss with them in terms of like what do they want to do for their employees and how are they like what are the strategies in place and how do they differ from country to country, because we were working with like multinational clients, so they had like the 150 countries that they were part of. And like it's like, okay, so what you're doing in North America, is that the same in Asia, and like how does that overlap, and how you changing things for that. So I think like that, and again in India there's a lot of like hustle mindset. So for them it's like, okay, I'm taking 1 hour of my time which I could use to just work and get done with work in doing a workshop which I don't know whether it's going to help me or not. So even that kind of like switch is like difficult and like trying to figure. But like I think like in terms of the corporates, for them, if they're looking at you from like a vendor mindset and perspective, it's very difficult for them then to take like advice or like see that, oh, you can do something else for me, because then they think of it more as like a sales act where it's like you're just trying to sell more to me.
Exactly. And that was the point I was going to bring up, that they do look at it from a very vendor perspective, because it's like, if someone at a very high quality level is doing this workshop for X amount, if there is someone else offering it for even 20% cheaper, not so good quality, we'll take it. As long as it fits the budget, which is also fair.
And I think like now the budgets are expanding. It's also, I think like the multinational angle helps, because when they have like headquartered elsewhere, they're doing it more on a global scale, where it's like, okay, we'll find local partners and local vendors to help us with that particular area or that particular region. But like the strategy is more globally. Like it's like, okay, fine, we're gonna provide EAP for all our employees. So then, okay, in India we'll try and look for someone. So it's like that different perspective. But no,
Let's go to our next challenge. This time you'll go first, Ayushi. This one's called Two Truths and a Lie. The idea here is whether it's challenges or achievements, whether it's about your personal journeys or work related, you need to give us 3 statements, amongst which 2 of them are truth and 1 of them is a lie. And we are going to guess which one's the lie.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, mine's like a fun
Perfect.
one. Okay. First is that I failed my math prelims, 10th prelims. I'm a cat person, and I am a huge Justin Bieber fan. Like I'm a believer.
I'm going to go with Justin Bieber.
That's what I thought as well, but I'll say the cat person is a lie.
And now do I tell you?
Yeah. You can ask.
Okay, the cat person.
Listen, okay.
So you are a believer. I'm also a believer.
Let's go.
My Justin Bieber concert got cancelled in London. I just got
it got cancelled.
It didn't get postponed.
Delhi
Also,
just got cancelled. I had no plans of how I'm gonna get there, who I'm going with, where I'm staying. I
Nothing.
just had tickets. I have booked the tickets. I'm like, I will find someone.
And not Bieber like to a normal level, like her
Next
Snapchat
level.
name is Bieber's Girl.
Oh, okay.
I made it when I was 12, and now I have an option to edit it out, but now it's just
it's part of your personality.
I think I'm like that with Taylor Swift. Like I'm not as much of a believer, but I'm like much more of a Swiftie.
I'm a hardcore believer.
I would consider myself a Swiftie. I'm not obsessed with either of them, but like I really like both of them.
Yeah, same. I'm that. Like I'm not a fangirl of either, but like
it's like if we're at like a club or a party and like a Justin Bieber song plays, everyone's looking for me like, oh, where are you? Where are you?
It's true.
That's me and Taylor Swift. Everyone looks at me, So you are a cat person.
I'm not a cat.
Oh, sorry, you're not a cat
I'm a
person.
dog
Yeah,
person. I have a
none of
dog.
us are cat people.
Nice. I hate cats as well.
Yeah.
I'm different. I don't like animals overall. Like,
Oh my
I
god.
love dogs. Just
animals.
adopted a dog 2 months ago. 2 months ago, yeah.
What?
I have a Shih Tzu. He's
Shih Tzu,
like
same.
6 years old now.
I used to be so scared. I'm not scared. I'm not as scared as I used to be. But like, I'm still like, it's fine. Like, I don't get that. Oh my god, it's a dog. Like, you know, people stop on the road and like,
Yeah,
oh,
I
no,
stop.
I'm
Same,
not that
same,
person.
same. I stop.
I love.
That's not me.
Yeah.
The reason why I love dogs even more is because of Coco. He's like the most adorable dog. in the world.
He's so
Is he hyper?
fluff ball.
Not at all.
Okay, then
Shih
like,
Tzus are very tame in general.
yeah, I
No,
hate
some
like,
Shih Tzus
some
are
are
mad, like
Yeah.
they're cracked
Yeah.
or something.
I
Some
feel
are-
like my dog, like her name is Suki. She, I think, is broken only. Like she's just chilling all the time. Like just like either she's like high or I have no clue what is up with her. But she's just chilling all the time.
No, my dog is like very fun, energetic. Like he plays,
But also very calm.
but very
Very
like,
approachable.
like he's not angry. Ever.
yeah,
Yeah.
Never
yeah.
angry. I just spend time with stray dogs. And I used to give them medicines with the vet, and
That
I
I
used to give
can't
them
do.
food. And I used to just spend. And by the way, I'm allergic to
That
like
kind of-
dander.
Oh,
Yeah,
Damn.
which is very sad. And my dreams were to become a vet, but
Okay, wait. So sorry. The most important point: you failed your 10th maths prelim,
yeah.
and now you're handling finance.
And I went back like last year for founders. It was actually on 18th Feb. So I went last year and I met him. And he was just asking me, oh, so what do you do now in life? And I was so proud. I was like, he thought I was going to be nobody and all of that. I was so proud. And I said, oh yeah, I have a mental health startup. And like, I handle all of the accounts.
but yeah, okay. Moving on to your
Yeah.
2 truths and a lie.
So I am left-handed. I cook a meal for myself every day, and I can't swim.
I can't swim. That's a lie, in my opinion.
Okay, wait. Let me think.
Okay, I can't swim well.
That's a tough one. I'm just gonna go for the sake of difference with you can't you cook a meal for yourself every day. I think you do maybe
That's
2
it.
meals.
Okay, so yeah, mine's the swimming is a lie. Like swimming well is a lie, and
Okay, I'm not left-handed.
you're not left-handed. Oh,
Damn.
so both of these are true. So you Wait, you said you
actually
can or you can't
swim?
swim?
I can't swim.
Can't
well.
swim, yeah.
I can swim in a 5 feet pool.
So that's
Oh wait,
true.
yeah, that's yeah.
But it's
That's true.
Oh, you said you can't. Okay, I thought of it. You
It's very
can.
confusing.
but
Yeah,
please,
we
you
always get
can
confused.
swim,
Yeah.
No, I can't swim well.
You can.
No, I can't.
I was so confused. I said, but I know for a
I
fact.
can't swim. I can't swim in a 10 feet pool.
That's what I meant. Like you can't, because I can't. swim.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that
you
is
know,
something
I was
very,
like,
very,
okay.
very honestly. You know, if someone tells me that either swim in a 10-foot pool or a 100-foot pool, what difference does it make?
I can't do
I
either.
get damn scared.
I
Yeah.
can't do either.
I'm like,
No, but I'm saying
We
if you
go
can,
swimming together. And
if you can-
I'm getting it. She swims well.
No.
So I was confused. I was like, okay, she's not
You
left-handed.
know I can't swim.
But I'm
well.
like, this is two
Lies
lies and
and
one
one-
truth.
No.
She swims well.
I,
She
like
gives
if you
herself
ask me
less
to
credit.
like jump into like an ocean and all, I can't do that. I couldn't do any of that.
Yeah.
Neither could I just jump into like the deep side of a pool. So I can't swim well. I can swim. Oh.
Okay.
Interesting.
So yeah, your other one was that you cook a meal
Yeah,
a
I
day,
cook breakfast almost every day for myself.
and you're right-handed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't question left-handed. I was like creativity. You know, creative people are left-handed.
Also,
Yeah.
Varnika must be in marketing.
She can still be creative and
I know,
right-handed.
I think she can be. I'm just saying, like,
No, like I didn't question her. You're like, yeah, okay, left-handed.
You know, when she said that, I'm starting to think, okay, she hasn't taken a sip of her water, so maybe she was
She's
like,
not even-
yeah. And I was like, she must, if she's left-handed, it's like easy to do. So I was like, fuck it, it's too much.
But for some reason, I always like when I'm drinking a drink, it's always my left hand.
You would win the game of Buffalo. Have you?
But you know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, it's our
why
favorite.
I'm trained now where if it's like in this hand and I'm just conscious, I'm just like this the whole time.
But you know, it's a very good habit because I'm always holding in my right hand, and
Oh,
the
yeah.
worst thing is when you meet
Me
people
too.
and shake their
You have
hands,
to like
Yeah.
swim.
your hand is cold.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's an icy drink, so yeah.
Yeah, so our next game is red flags. We're going to give you 3 hypothetical situations composed of 2 things that are going good and 1 that's not so good, which is a red flag. And you have to assume that these statements are true. We have adapted these for adapt as well.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to then pick which one you would rather be in. Okay, So situation 1, your community has increased to 50,000 users in the next 3 years. Adapt partners up with 50 corporates across India to be the go-to place for the employees for holistic mental well-being. But recently, there have been multiple bad reviews for a handful of therapists on Adapt. Situation 2, you now have a team of 50 plus therapists part of Adapt. Adapt is the #1 leading company in India for holistic well-being, including both mental and physical with your app. But building Adapt has become more demanding and it has impacted your personal mental health negatively. Situation 3, there have been over 300,000 therapy sessions conducted by Adapt in the next 5 years. Adapt launches a comprehensive mental health awareness campaign in collaborations with well-known influencers and celebrities that goes viral and that creates a significant buzz around the importance of mental health. But users are starting to find the cost of therapy extremely high. So these are your 3 situations.
Preet's got it.
Yeah.
Ayushi, ready?
Okay, so 3, 2, 1, go.
3.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Both of you are on the
Yeah.
same page.
Yeah, I mean, if you have that kind of reach, then
Yeah.
Also, like your market can change.
Yeah, exactly. Because now
you can adapt to like
Yeah.
a premium service, premium market,
yeah,
luxury.
if you're tying up with influencers and everything,
Yeah.
can reach a different audience.
Yeah, and there is buzz, like you're creating that awareness of and the importance of
Yeah.
mental
Yeah.
health as well. Yeah.
But
No, I was
really nice
also
situations. I like.
Yeah, really, really creative.
I was interested to see it, whether, and I'm glad both of you all also put your personal mental health above like
Yeah.
the company.
100%.
But yeah, that was something that I was curious to see, like whether you all would sacrifice your own mental health being in this space or not.
No, I feel
Because it
like
says
if
a lot
you
about
are
what
not
you're. Yeah,
fit,
exactly. Yeah.
If you yourself are not, like, how do you show up for yourself, and then how can you expect to show up for a company that shows up for so many other people?
Yeah.
It
And
just
like
won't
it's
work.
not like you're
Very
not
nicely
in.
put.
Yeah. And you're not in the same direction of what you're preaching, essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're not.
Cool. Let's go on to our last section. This is very easy. It's not easy. It's self-explanatory. It's our rapid fire.
Oh,
So we're gonna go one by one. I'll say the name first and then the question.
okay.
Cool. Ayushi, how many days of leave have you taken in the last year?
Ask me.
More than 30.
Way
Wow.
more.
Mental.
Not more than 30.
Our holidays are only once a 8 holidays.
Yeah. Last year was a really
travel.
travel-full year, like weddings and like.
Wait, how many days did you take?
I just went to the States for about 20 days. Those were the days I was not active. Other than that, I've maybe taken like 8, 9
So
days
similar.
off in total.
Not bad, but you all have a healthy balance. That's
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Right, Preet, did you have a question whether it was worth it?
Yeah.
Okay. Preet, what is the weirdest place from where you have worked?
How do I answer this question? We work out of cafes and stuff as much as we can. Maybe I think at one point we had a meeting in Bangalore and we used to work with our mentor at like this co-working space. It was really fun. We didn't have direct access to go there and work, but we'd like stay back and work.
I would say a car, dude. Like we sat in cars.
That is
and
so
taken,
normal.
like, calls
That's
and,
normal.
Like been in
Yeah.
front of the video and all. Like that's
Yeah, that's normal. No, I'm sure there's been more weird situations.
yeah. Even
it's
I'm
just not coming to me.
Alrighty. Ayushi, what was your proudest moment with Adapt?
I think when we cracked our first 2 colleges, which was like a great like revenue boost for us.
Okay. Preet, what was the one time you felt like you let Adapt down?
I feel like when there was this phase, I think in 2021, transitioning to 2022, where just for 2 months I was not able to give myself entirely, be very present at work. At that point, I felt like I let Adapt down a little, but I needed that for my personal.
Yeah.
Fair. What is the scrappiest thing that y'all have done to build your business?
We made Canva posts for a year and a half straight. So
Yeah.
yeah, we
Nice.
would do it.
Also, at every party we used to go to in college, we used to make people
Follow us.
follow us.
Not just like
Nice.
not like college parties, like outside. We'd go outside, like at the
Like
restaurants
when
and
we were in
clubs.
college and we used to go like out for like a meal or like to a restaurant or a club or something, we would like just our motto was let's go to people and get them to follow.
Wow.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
we just go like chat, make conversation, be like, hey, by the way, just can you follow this page? And then we dip
Yeah.
this person.
Damn.
Nice.
So your parties were networking events.
Yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
Got it.
Aishi, what did you do with your first profit?
Save it.
Okay, Preet, which hobby of yours did your work kill?
I feel like it's just helped me grow my hobbies, honestly, because it's made me realize that there are things that I love doing and I want to do more of. So I work out consistently. I've started reading. Like I know what's good for my mental health after this. A little bit of, I would say, dancing has been killed because I just don't get the time.
Nice. Okay. Not the dancing part, but the rest of it.
Painting, I would say a little bit.
Painting keeps coming and going.
Yeah. But
Dancing
she
is
is
fully
so
killed.
great. She was so
Yeah.
great in the middle. Like I think only recently she started like a little by little, but I think for 2 years straight, like there was nothing.
Yeah.
And she's really good.
Okay, now answer together. Do you prefer books or podcasts?
Recently, books.
Okay. iPad or notebook?
iPad.
Notebook.
Okay. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning.
Night.
And what's your favorite social media platform?
Sadly, most used Instagram. Favorite, I would say is like
Adapt app.
don't think I have a favorite per se. Most used Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
Instagram.
So that concludes our rapid fire, which almost brings us to the end of our conversation. We ask every guest of ours to ask our next guest a question. So we are now going to show you the question that our previous guest has for you, and you can answer one by one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, if I remember correctly, this has something to do with your industry, and they had no idea all were coming.
Okay,
Oh,
so we don't know. We don't have contacts as to who's coming next.
No.
No.
No. Oh
Okay.
wow. Okay.
How do you keep your mental health in place with like how demanding your job is? Like how do you keep your mental
It
health
is our
in
job.
place? Be at the top of everything.
Amazing.
That is so.
Like I remember being like, oh my god, this is like
Yeah.
so well done,
Yeah.
but it was not.
Wow.
They did not know that y'all were
Unplanned.
coming.
Yeah.
One, it is our job, but I think mine keep changing. I think every week. So sometimes it'll just be like listening to only one song every single time. Like I'm very big on music that way, and playing with my dog is
Yeah.
just the best thing.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm feeling low, whenever I'm happy, like all sorts of emotions, I'm with the dog. Other than that, I really like just like a good meal and like
Yeah.
conversations with friends.
Yeah. How I like to keep my mental health in check is having a routine. I'm a very like routine person. I need to wake up at a certain time, do certain things in a day. Like I need to work out at first thing in the morning, eat relatively healthy. That being put together is what keeps my mental health sane. And then of course I have a very very nice social support system in place for when like I need to like talk to people. So like those are very important.
Sweet but psycho.
Sweet but psycho.
Yeah.
Nice. But yeah, that
Awesome. That's the end of our
How do
conversation.
you guys do
Yeah.
to keep your mental health in check?
is my mental health in check. No, I guess similar. I think a mix of both of y'all actually. Like, have that in at least at nights. Like before I sleep, I want to have that downtime routine, like a way to
Routine,
like
yeah.
just like be away. It's very difficult because a lot of times I stay up just like thinking of things.
Yeah.
So it's like trying to like see how I can unwind and actually get off of it. Reading has also really helped. Like I've tried to stay a little away from screens as well to be like, okay, not spend so much time on like Instagram before sleeping or like just continuously watch something. Before my routine included watching like an episode before I slept. And like I'm trying to like be like, okay, let's not like do that. Sometimes I still like watch something. There was a point in time where I needed something to like sleep.
That's me
So
right
it's
now.
like,
That's
yeah.
horrible.
So like
I
things
use
like that.
Elevate.
And
It is
music.
brilliant. Do you know Elevate, the app?
No.
So it's like it makes you like it gives you a little brain workout every day. It's like a 5-minute
Oh yeah,
thing.
I've heard of this, yeah.
And I only told you about it
In the morning,
London.
yeah.
So I do it every morning and then every night. So in the morning I do the they have one difficult section and one regular. So in the morning I do the difficult, so it's like wakes me up.
Challenging, yeah.
And then at night if I do the regular, and then there's a couple of other games you can do on the app, and it's like maths, vocab, like a bunch of different things. And it just like it stimulates you, and then before sleeping also, if you just play it a bit, you get a little tired. You know, like, screw this game, I'm gonna go to sleep.
Yeah.
See, my mind doesn't work like that. Like I won't be like, screw this. I'll be like, I need to fix like,
Yeah,
figure this out
exactly.
before.
Yeah,
And
so
I would
as
get
soon as you
sleep
finish
till I, like,
the
finish
round, you're like, okay, fine, now I'm done with this round, I'm gonna go to sleep.
Yeah, I feel like reading before sleeping is the best. In fact, I just started this habit with a friend because it's really losing touch, where we like read 20 pages and we summarize it to each other.
Yeah.
Nice.
I used to do that, like, we didn't have like pages, but we used to like try and read like a book club between the two.
Yeah.
We read similar books, or like some of our tastes were so opposite, where we would read different and then we tell the other person the whole book that happened. Be like, oh my god, I'm traumatized by this book because this happened. So it'd be like,
I'm really into like these thriller murder mysteries right now, like with TV shows. So like even books like that.
Yeah.
Please, if you have any, recommend.
I do actually. I don't love them.
I recently read a psycho thriller called Housemaid. It was quite like psycho vibes.
Okay.
So, have you read Verity?
That
Like traumatized me. Like honestly, I was like,
I didn't read it, but I have it, so I can give it.
Colleen Hoover.
Wow,
That's also
awesome.
like.
Yeah.
But there's this game I play crosswords. I just play crosswords on my
Oh yeah, I do the New York Times crossword every
Yeah.
night as well.
This is like just every day new
Yeah.
ones that like I try to finish one a day.
So this one, is it like the New York Times
No, it's
crossword?
not. It's
Is it like what's the kind of
So you
the
have like
clues?
easy, normal, regular, teen days, very hard, and then it's simple, just like this,
Okay.
and then
It
like
tells you the clue.
yeah, just tells you
I'll
the
check
clue
it
over
out.
here, and then once you're done, you just move to the next. It's not like a one a day kind.
But yeah, thank you so much for joining us on the
We had such a
podcast.
good time.
It's been so much fun, yeah. Like just
Yeah.
learning, and like I think I resonated with like so many things you all have done, given that either I've done it previously or I'm like similar in that state.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah.